I lurch away, essentially butt-bumping the coyote as my ears ring from the prior blow. TJ's still on the ground, crying and covered in booze as the bullies stand around him. My movements go sluggish, and it's like I've become a zombie, shambling toward the door as my vision blurs. Is this what being knocked out feels like? I clench my fists and keep up my pace, trying to blink the blurriness away. Eventually, I reach the entrance. Carl! Leo! As I reach the outside, my knees lock and I drop to the concrete. The impact rattles my bones as I catch myself with my wrists, just barely managing to avoid falling directly on my muzzle. I take in a deep breath. I'm still conscious. At least, half conscious. I continue crawling, trying to ignore the throbbing pain. Carl! Shouting now, my voice sounds foreign to me, shrill, childlike, pathetic, and increasingly hoarse. Leo! My voice shouldn't be this croaky. I've barely talked today. I'm in the middle of the road now. Where's Carl? I should get out of here before a car comes. I pulled myself along the asphalt, feeling my skin scrape beneath my fur. I want to stand, but I'll probably just fall again. And so I keep crawling, rolling into what seems like some sort of detention basin. I stare up at the sky, fighting the sudden fatigue and gritting my teeth throughout the pain. At first I think it's blood that's gotten to my eyes, but upon rubbing them, I realize that isn't the case. The sky is different. Like someone slapped one of those colored gel matte filters over it. What the hell? I rub my eyes again, attempting to focus. I can't stay here. TJ is in deep shit. Those idiots. Those assholes. Sucking in a sharp breath through my teeth, I rise to a stand, praying my knees don't lock up again. Find Carl? Find Leo. I stumble out of the detention basin, feeling packed soil beneath my feet. A dirt road. Looking behind me, I realize I must have crawled further than I thought. Parsons looks over a mile away? That can't be right. I see a van ahead. It looks rusted and old, but there's a light on inside. I step stiff-leggedly down the road a ways, reaching the bend where the vehicle sits. The same redness that the sky is tinted with pulsates from the interior. I try to speak, but no words come from my throat. It's like a dream. I want to do the rational thing and announce myself, but I can't. I move closer, peering into the dusty back window. Inside the window is another window, and in that window a little red dot in the corner, flashing on and off. In the window within a window, there is a writhing flashes of fur, contorted and undulating in constant restless motion. Something is trying to hold it in place. I hear a clap and a cry. The clapping continues, louder now, rhythmic yet singular applause. "This is what you want," says the voice that cried. I stare, slowly finding the will to speak. "No, I need to find my friends." "Do you know where they are?" The voice shifts some, more urgent. "We heard gunfire coming from the town. It's real bad." "Gunfire? I didn't hear anything. Please help me find my friends." "We can't find them all now. We need to go." They're lost. No, they're not. I'll keep looking. I'll keep looking myself. You're just going in circles. I feel tears well within my eyes, a lump in my throat, containing a choked sob. Please. The van's back doors open. I'm standing too close and it pushes me onto my back. The red light is gone now, replaced by darkness, shifting shadows within. I see them now. Tarantulas. Their 8 legs fuzzed with white and rust-colored stripes. They're on me with haste. 2 of them. 1 on each of my arms. They bite so hard, so quickly, I can't yell. They pull and tug at me. Another pair at my legs. I'm pulled up and into the van, my body stretched upon a squishy something that begins to sink against my arms and legs. There's no more light, and I stare paralyzed at what I think is the ceiling of the van in the pitch blackness. It feels like restraints are binding me in place. I try to adjust my eyes to the darkness, but everything seems blurry and unclear. My head throbs like a heartbeat, the pangs of pain unrelenting. My fur bristles. Where did the spiders go? Breathing has become more difficult, as if the oxygen in the van was running out. I feel the veins in my neck bulge as I try to gasp for large breaths, but my body is not my own. Light seems to pop as the ringing in my ears intensifies. Something is above me. I can sense it. There's a garbled muttering coming forth from it, as if spoken through a poorly tuned AM radio. It sounds like me. You knocked him out. I swear, I barely touched him, man. Fucking. Hands on. Dude? Just go. Leo. Go, before he wakes up. I'll see you. Party? It goes quiet. Then, after a few more seconds, Chase. 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 The voice changes. This time the voice is throbbing within my head. Have you ever killed anyone? Chase! I hear my name once again and lean forward, only to find my head pounding and something metal around my neck. Chase! Again, my name is spoken, the voice a coarse rasp that sounds somewhat familiar. I blink several times, trying to get the blurriness to leave my eyes. They feel puffy, like I'd been crying a lot. Sure enough, as I touch my cheeks, I can feel wet stains. I must have wept while I was out. Finally, my vision clears enough that I can get a read on my surroundings. It's some kind of trailer, with trash and stained clothing scattered about everywhere. Most of it's beer bottles and old TV dinner packages, with a few stacks of vintage science magazines and newspapers along the back wall. Dishes and junk are piled high along the length of the counter, and it smells like cigarette smoke. Brian must have brought me here. Maybe this is his place? As the reality of the situation sinks in, I quickly try to stand up, but the sudden tugging on my throat pulls me back down. As I clutch at it, I realize it's some kind of metal collar which is keeping me pinned to the wood-paneled wall. Jeez. This time I turn and crane my neck back to identify the source. Carl. My heart leaps, but stops cold once I notice the position he's in. The ram's on some kind of table with bindings around his neck, wrists, and fetlocks. The ram cranes his neck in what looks like a painful fashion to look at me. His eyes are puffy and bloodshot, far beyond his usual pink-hued, drug-induced haze. He's been crying. A lot. Carl! I exclaim, my voice a half-whisper, half-shout. What's going on? Are you really Chase? His voice is weak, cracking with each enunciation. I can see the veins in the ram's neck bulge through his thin fur when he tries to speak. What? Of course it's really me? Did Brian nab you too? Shakily, the ram nods his head, his horns making clacking noises against the wood table. It's all a fucking nightmare, dude. I can't tell what's real anymore. Everything's fuzzy. He squeezes his fists, then wrenches his wrists back, trying to worm his way out of the bindings. He keeps coming by and tightening the wrap around my neck, until, I can only get a tiny bit of air. After a few minutes, I start to see lights popping, and everything goes all dark, grainy. Over and over again. It's at that point I notice there's something hanging above him on the ceiling. A mirror. Ornately framed with gold-colored trim and pinned up with rusty metal stakes. It's so starkly fancy and out of place, considering the rest of the trashy interior. Jesus! I strain against the collar around my neck, trying to get a better look at my own bindings. It's hard to see, but this collar looks like it's bolted to the wood-paneled walls on both sides of my neck. Haphazardly, too, as it jingles whenever I shift too hard. At the same time, the edges of the collar are not exactly smooth. I feel like if I yank too quickly, the metal would cut into my own neck. Are the cops coming? I just want to go home, man. I share the sentiment, though, right now. I'm just trying to get my bearings. The edge of my forehead where Brian hit me throbs with pain every couple of seconds. There's no air conditioning in here either, and I can't help but feel like I'm sitting in a hot car that smells like a dumpster. There's a pungent aroma of body odor mixed with something kind of like rotting fruit. Every breath I take just brings more of that scent into me until I can practically taste it on my tongue. I don't know. I finally respond. Carl's heart visibly sinks, his eyes darting around the room before finally settling on something to my right. Leo? I blink and delicately try to turn my head to peer beside me. Crumpled on the floor and bound in a similar type of bondage to my own is Leo, still unconscious. His lip has split, and a little bit of blood has pooled onto the gray carpet. Fortunately, he's still breathing, that big chest of his rising and falling in a slow rhythm. It looks like he took that strike earlier mainly on his muzzle. Hopefully that means his head itself didn't take too much of the brunt, which undoubtedly would worsen the hell out of his concussion. Leo, wake up! I hear him grunt softly, like I had just disturbed him from a pleasant nap. His eyes already seem like they're half open, so whether he's truly sleeping right now isn't clear. Stretching out, I can just barely manage to nudge him with the tip of my tail. Leo, come on! Another soft groan. He looks beat up. Carl rasps. Yeah, Brian beat him pretty bad. Twice. Oh. Orange-tinted sunlight seeps in from between the slats of the closed blinds across the room. It must still be daytime out, but just barely. I wonder why Jenna isn't here. Maybe she got away? Outside there's a pronounced puttering noise drawing closer. It vibrates the room we're in slightly, and there's the faint noise of oldies music that carries on along with it. A car? Maybe an old pickup truck. Carl goes quiet, listening as well. Next, voices. They sound terse, argumentative. Going after your fucking sister, one says, higher pitched and pained. They brought it on themselves. Clint. Leah was right. He was involved. Fucker. What do you think he's gonna do to him? Jeremy's voice comes through, less annoyed than the other two. He sounds almost afraid. The same thing he did to Keith, you mangy fuck. That high-pitched voice. It's Micah. Well, fuck. At least he's alive. You don't know that. Yeah. Shut the fuck up, Micah. Don't disrespect him with this sort of conspiracy shit now. You've done screwed several pooches, and I ain't covering for you. You don't know shit. I can hear another car pull up, this one with a much quieter engine. Carl visibly tenses, seemingly recognizing the sound. Dude. It's him, dude. A car door slams and the voices silence. Hello there. End of a day, huh? The silence continues for a while until Brian speaks up again. After you? That makes a little irk, and the door to the room we're in opens. The ringtail enters, his composure far more timid than I'm used to. He blinks when he sees Leo and I bound to the wall, staring at the two of us wordlessly. Go on. What was it you were gonna tell me? Brian enters in after him, the hulking bear having to duck to fit through the doorway. Carl quickly closes his eyes, trying to pretend he's asleep. The bear's focus remains entirely upon Clint, with Clint looking like he's practically withering under his gaze. I think Duke said he was going to be here in a couple minutes. But apparently folks are gathering at town hall, wondering what's going on. The bearer glances back over his shoulder, then extends an arm out through the doorway, grabbing something. I struggle to turn my head enough to see what. Let go! Jenna's tone is cold, completely curt despite the circumstances. Fortunately, she doesn't look too beaten up beyond her fur being a little tousled. Brian's holding her by her arm, and tightly, due judging by the wince on her face. Her stony demeanor visibly fades as she sees the three of us bound up. This is barbaric. Brian ignores her comments, dragging her across the stained carpet to an old radiator in the corner. With some errant chain, he gets to work tying her to it. She seems to be getting spared the neck choker treatment. You mentioned there were others with him? The catboy and the mayor's cocksucking nephew, right? TJ and Flynn, yeah? Lynn, right? I know him. He's the one with the big bottom. Clint rubs his scabbed arms, looking anywhere but Brian. I don't know. He quickly tries to shift the direction of the conversation. Duke was talking about them. Do you want us to bring them in too? In case they got some incriminating stuff on the phones? That works for me. Hey, little Jeremy, what you doing out there? Bring in the last one. Sure enough, Jeremy sheepishly enters the room with his paw on Micah's shoulder. The bat is trembling, walking with a limp and a swollen nose. Jeremy looks directly at Jenna for a moment, a flicker of shock on his face at seeing her and the rest of us in such a sorry state. You guys are such shit. It's finally happening. And you all are gonna turn on me just like that? Succumb to it? Hey, man. You're the one who started trying to kill our boss with a wrench. That sounds an awful lot like succumbing to it to me. He killed Keith! Dude, no he didn't. You're just hallucinating. Brian lets out an indiscernible noise from the other side of the room, finishing up some bindings around Jenna's ankles. Brian seems like he's in his element, as if this whole kidnapping business is about as strenuous as a trip for groceries. However, the mention of Keith does elicit a visible tensing of the bear. Don't appreciate that kind of disingenuous assertion. Look, you just need to chill out here. Smoke some weed or something. That's a trick to make it go away, right? Oh yeah. We're all gonna get real high and ride it out, little fellas. Brian smiles, showcasing his broken teeth. You ain't got nothing to fret over. The rotund Finnick pulls out a phone from his pocket, one that looks a lot like the burner Micah showed me earlier. I still can't get a hold of Heather. We gotta look for her too, man. Clint, who had been unusually quiet, snaps to attention as he realizes Jeremy is talking to him. Wait, we'll check her pa's place then. Oh, you going there? Take her with you. I might need the rack. Only been a few days and I've almost got him trained already. Trained? Shouldn't be too much of a flight risk. I look at Carl, who's still trying to pretend he's asleep. He's not doing a very good job, as I can see his legs shaking. Not that I'd be able to do any better in his position. Clint, without a word, moves to the table and unfastens each strap and buckle as if he were personally familiar with it. He pulls at the ram's soiled and slightly bloody tank top. Come on, he mutters. Carl complies, his fetlocks nearly buckling beneath him as his hooves touch the ground for the first time in a long while. He doesn't dare look at the rest of us, keeping his gaze down. Good boy. Brian rumbles, grinning to himself. Carl flinches. Clint pulls something that glimmers in the faint light out of the back of his pants, and it takes me a minute to realize it's a gun. He presses the metal of the barrel against the ram's spine, his lanky finger hovering over the trigger. As I see the ringtails step around and push open the door, I notice Carl's not the only one shaking now. Clint's own hand shivers fiercely, like any second he might accidentally squeeze his finger back. I try not to make any sudden noises, keeping my already strained breath shallow. This is so fucked. The two shuffle out without further word. Jeremy moves to follow them, but hesitates for a moment, looking back at Jenna. Jazz, just wait this out, yeah? Just go. Jenna seethes, her words like ice. It's as if any more of the Fat Phoenix rationalizing would make her physically ill. Jeremy thins his lips, standing there a bit wormless-like. He finally reaches down into his pocket and withdraws a joint and a lighter. Whatever he's got, it's potent, and I can smell it from all the way across the room. He ducks his head down, turning to follow Clint and Carl out to the truck. See you guys. Hey, shit! Bitch! Jeremy makes a concerted effort not to react to the bat's sputtered jab and disappears out the doorway. Ryan makes his way over to the door and gently closes it behind them. Slowly, he turns his head back toward us. A light smile crosses his muzzle. As his dark eyes meet Micah's own, his grin widens. Hey, Micah. Micah opens his mouth to speak, but nothing comes out. The bat just gops wordlessly as Brian walks over and socks him in the chest. The little bat doubles over, nearly cracking his skull on the edge of the kitchen countertop on his way down. Jenna gasps. See, one would think your prissy, God-loving folks would have taught you some proper manners when round guests. The bear squints down at the crumpled bat, inspecting him to see if he did any real serious damage. At the very least, Keith should have. Ryan leans down, expecting some sort of profanity-laden quip from the bat, but he's met with silence. Micah's furred form heaves, his mouth stretching open against the dirty linoleum in a dry retch. The bear continues to watch over him like this, nudging him gently with his foot. No one says anything, and I can see Jenna doing her best not to draw attention to herself. It's quite a malaise which throbs in my pulse, pounding against the too tight restraints. And finally, he speaks. That's right, faggot. The bear begins to rifle through one of the mildewy kitchen cabinets and withdraws a pair of fuzzy white handcuffs. They're the kind of thing you'd see at one of those edgy mall gift shops for bondage play. Regardless of their intended use, I can see the glint of metal beneath the fur, and they seem pretty solid. He fastens one cuff around Micah's thin wrist and opens one of the cabinets beneath the sink. With a quick tug, he jerks the bat's arm into it. There's a sound of clinking metal, and then the other cuff is fastened. He must be securing him against the plumbing. Micah resists none of this, fearing further retribution from the bear. I've had a bit of a scorpion problem under there. Make sure not to get stung. Ryan's about to say something else, but stops as he spies something out the window. One moment. The bear hustles outside without further word. Micah clutches his stomach, saying nothing. Jenna doesn't either. The only sound is the quiet groaning of Leo and the clinking of metal on metal as we fiddle with our restraints. At that moment, I hear a soft mumbling in the distance through the thin walls of the trailer. I freeze and hold my breath. It's a little ways off, but I'm almost positive that it's Duke. The high, weaselly whine mixed with the occasional smoker's cough is unmistakable. He's coming closer, and I start to make out what he's saying. Because we're already fucked here. You think we can just let him go and it'll all be fine? I don't know who he's talking to, but the sound of accompanying heavy lumbering step gives me an idea. It's worth it, though. If we can figure out what the fuck is going on. It sounds like they're right up against a trailer now. I can hear them walking around it, towards the small door on the right side of the kitchen. Leo ain't saying shit yet, but I think it might be the otter. He's the one I seen last week. The footsteps stop in front of the door, and I listen hard, my heart pounding in my chest. I hope you haven't done anything to him. Done what you've already done, that is. Was protecting my property the first time. Haven't done nothing further. Ryan's uncharacteristically high-pitched voice sends a chill up my spine, my fur flaring out with it. You bet your ass you haven't. If you do any of your fucked up shit to these kids. I stop breathing, staring at the ends of my feet. What I'm saying is we still got a chance to get out of this. What we've done is bad enough. But if we can get them to understand... They stop talking, and that's when I hear Brian's heavy, labored breath. I'm not breathing at all, worried that they'll be able to hear it even though they already know I'm here. I let out a gasp as the door suddenly swings open and Duke comes up the steps, looking around before spotting the lot of us. Brian, you are one sick fuck. I tense up as a massive shadow appears behind him, and it feels like the entire trailer tips a bit as Brian makes his way up the same steps. Brian's presence is so imposing and frightening that I don't even notice that Duke is now right next to me. I jump when he sets his hand on my left arm. I jerk my head to look at him wide-eyed. Hey, calm down. We ain't gonna hurt you. Brian chuckles and Duke shoots him a look. He turns his attention back to me, softening his expression, at least as much as he can with his scraggly drug-fucked face. We just need some information from you. I open my mouth to speak, but all that comes out is a dry squeak. Brian chuckles again and makes his way to stand to my right. I cringe away from him and his stench of old sweat as he grins down at me with his yellow teeth. Despite all of the others being here, the two seem especially focused on me. Brian, get some fucking water. Brian looks at Duke with a strange face before turning back to the kitchen. Hey, don't worry about him. I know this thing. Duke taps the metal collar around my neck with a finger. Looks bad, but we just gotta hold you here for a bit. The boys are queer. They like it. And the girlie is probably just like your wife. Jenna is silent, daring not to provoke the two. Duke glares at him as Brian comes back from the kitchen with a ceramic mug. You're queer too. Brian visibly bristles and his face loses any of the sick humor it once had. Duke clears his throat. Things have been happening here, and we want to find out why. What? Duke furrows his brow, like a kid trying to figure out something difficult. You see, people ain't right in the head here. No shit. Duke seems to immediately read my thought process because he holds up his hands and shakes his head. Yeah. I know. What we're doing ain't exactly right in the head either. Brian gives his dumb chuckle again, but I keep my face averted from him, partly because I really can't stand the smell. But we're all a little fucked up here. What I'm talking about is something else, like what's been going on with the townsfolk. Bad dreams, strange behavior. Sound familiar? I shift a little as I'm reminded about the past few days. Duke looks genuinely concerned. I look at the weasel's waistband and immediately see the handgun tucked into his pants there. And I was hoping to stop it before any of this happened. But now, everything's gone to shit. Brian finishes for him. I can feel him move closer to the platform I'm laying on. Again, I avoid eye contact, not wanting to provoke him in any way. Yep, and it's only gonna get worse. Duke just looks at me, like that's all the information that I need. I don't know what you're talking about. I see a twitch of irritation in Duke's face, and I hold my breath. I mean, what's happening out there? Duke shakes his head. What's happening everywhere? Duke looks back at the window suddenly, his fur standing on end. I look too, but all I see are the leaves and branches, the late afternoon sun filtering through them. Brian's quiet for a while before he starts speaking again without turning around. It happened to my granddaddy, my daddy. Now it's happening to me. I close my eyes, wondering if Duke is just as crazy as Brian. If he is, I doubt he even has a clue what he's doing right now. Dell's missing. Cynthia drove off into the desert. Duke turns around to look back to Micah. Saw your cat friend screeching about on the river road to the north. Heather? She had a little revolver, started pointing it at me and telling me to get out of my truck. Micah's brow furrows slightly, but otherwise he says nothing. Tried calming her down, but she wasn't having it. Even fired off a shot in the air before taking my keys and heading off toward her pop's place. Girl was on a warpath. Haunted. Thing is, we've all got something after us. Something bad. Won't let you leave when it starts. What's after you? I flinch as Brian speaks just above me, leaning down towards my face. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Bullshit! I flinch again as Duke's concerned demeanor immediately drops away. Why do you think we came to get you all? He pauses like I should actually know the answer. Sans Micah here, who is already succumbing something fierce to his own demons. Bitch. Micah mumbles from across the room, and I can see Duke's fur bristle. I feel myself starting to panic again with these two crazy hillbillies looming over my body. I don't know what you... Duke slaps me and I gasp in shock. Hey! You shut your fucking mouth before I stop your jawing! Ryan snaps back at Jenna before refocusing his attention on me. I saw you hanging around this fucking town before you even got here. Late at night. Lurking around. I'm still cringing from the slap, and I keep my eyes closed, as if not seeing any of this is going to make it stop. And then, once all your friends get here, all hell breaks loose. You think that's a fucking coincidence? It's quiet for a moment, and all I can hear is the rush of blood in my ears. Is this really happening? I feel Duke touch my arm again. I flinch in fear. Hey. I feel like he wants me to look at him, so I slowly open my eyes, tears spilling out as I do. The blurry shape of Duke dances in front of me. I'm not saying you did it, or that you wanted it to happen. I don't say anything, because I still don't know what he's talking about, but I know I can't tell him that. It's just that you gotta know something. Anything so that we can stop this. Duke starts to pet my arm and I shiver. Brian is breathing heavily next to me, and a glance at him shows that his expression is more interested now, almost eager. I think about Leo, slooped over next to me. I want to cry out for help to him, though what could he do beyond get himself hurt more? I'm utterly helpless, squirming in my own skin. Duke still hasn't answered my question. It makes no sense that they'd go so far as to kidnap us. But why? Why didn't you just ask us? Why all of this? I lift my hands weakly, making the platform rattle. Duke's face darkens. Because I've been asking Leo all week what the fuck you guys are doing, and he wouldn't say shit. Saw you all snooping around Hendrick's place, and he attacked me when I confronted him. You just stood there looking out the window, with that same condescending look you bunch have always had. He glances to each of us. Duke stops petting my arm and scratches behind his head. And, something. Someone told me that you would know. I stare at him. Who? Someone I know. And it makes sense. Something bad happens, and if you don't fix it, it won't stop coming after you. I shut my eyes and almost sob. Says they know, and I thought it had to be Leo or you, considering what we've been seeing these past few weeks. Duke pauses. Or maybe one of your other friends. He looks over toward Jenna. She's silent. I don't know what you're talking about. Wait for another slap, but it doesn't come. Open my eyes again, and Duke is looking back out the window. We're kinda protecting you, too. I stare at the back of his head. Things are getting worse out there. And if we don't figure something out soon, we're all gonna die. Duke's voice is dead and distant. Brian, though, touches my other arm and I gasp, shrinking away. He's smirking down at me, looking at my stomach, or crotch, somewhere around there. Brian, stop. Duke is turned back around, looking over me at the bear. We're not getting anywhere right now, and I gotta get to town hall. Even though Duke is the one that hit me, I'm terrified at the thought of us being left alone again with Brian. Duke sees my face. Don't worry, Chase. Even though you're lying to us, I don't plan to let this pervert have his way with you. Brian snorts. Brian knows what will happen if he does. Duke gives Brian a cold, callous stare, and this time Brian doesn't give a stupid grin back. But you'd better fall in line and think real hard about what you're really doing here, Chase. 'Cause I'll be back. Duke heads for the door, turning to look over his shoulder. Just feed 'em and make sure they don't escape. That's it. And I need your keys. What? Brian snarls. Heather took my truck, remember? You'll get it back. Brian seethes through his large black nostrils, and I'm strangely reminded of Leo reacting to Jenna's chiding earlier. With a grumble, he fists around in his sweatpants pocket. He takes a brass key from his keychain and pushes it into Duke's outstretched palm. "Thank you." And with that, Duke briskly disappears out the door, a golden flash of late afternoon light illuminating the dim trailer. Brian and I listen to the weasel's soft, anxious footsteps recede into the distance. As soon as the sound is gone, Brian stands up. I turn my head in time to see him whirl around and smash his fist into the wall. I jump as much as I can in my restraints before he does it again, this time slamming both of his fists against the wall. "Fucking faggot!" The bear shoves his remaining keys into a drawer on the other side of the kitchen. He exhales loudly, staring at the wall, muttering something I can't quite make out. Brian remains motionless as he does, unmoving as the minutes pass by. It's unnerving, but a welcome respite from the aggression being taken out on us. There's a window in the corner of the living room area that's mainly covered by an olden wooden bookcase. There's no books in it, just mainly stacks of ashtrays, empty plastic bottles, and old appliance manuals. However, the top two shelves are littered with little knickknacks. It takes me a second, but I actually recognize a few of them as prizes from Southwestern Adventures. I'm reminded of the stuffed griffin I have smushed in my suitcase back at the motel. If only we had packed up and gone when we had the chance. There's some other keepsakes stuffed back there as well. Lots of stuff from the Blue Diamond Casino on the reservation. Travel cases, poker chips, canvas satchels, and even a mug with a smiling blue diamond and Maseta war chief headdress. It reads, "Chief Daddy," in big bold lettering. Is Brian a father? The idea seems unlikely. Brian stands on his tiptoes and peers out the little bit of window still visible over the top of the bookcase. There's a faint popping sound in the distance, like 4th of July fireworks cracking off. I can't imagine why anyone would be celebrating at a time like this. They're probably not fireworks. Brian flinches, a soft frown crossing his burly features. "Ha!" He hums to himself, brow furrowed as he takes the seat in the faded corduroy recliner, turning it in place to face us. His eyes shift over me for a moment, and it's like he wants to say something. I swallow, my mouth dry as a bone as I begin to speak. Do you think those were gunshots? Worried about your friends? Yeah. Don't be. You should be the worried ones. He smiles a big toothy grin, composed of what few teeth he has remaining. Oh. There's something familiar about his face now. My mind flashes with images of that smile peering at me from the end of my bed. Could it have been one of those countless night terrors I'd seen when my body was still frozen with sleep? Unable to move, just like I am now? Except this is real. His gaze shifts to the rack and mirror beside me, and he's quiet for a while. He suddenly smacks his lips. Keith.